your program is the best football show in Africa. Welcome to Nigeria Superfans Forum. My name is Oluwafemi Ashaolu, and today on the show, it's a loaded package. And of course, we'll begin as usual in Nigeria, where all the clubs in the continent, of course, they've crashed out. Kwara United, Rivers United, and Plateau United, they crashed out over the weekend. And again, it throws up the debate about the integrity of the game in Africa. Remember last time we talked about the appointment of North African referees for the return leg of our Nigerian team. So that again is in the focus. And of course, we'll be talking about Ghana, where the preparation for the 2020 FIFA World Cup is in top gear. And South Korea, I meant to say, South Korea, they've been talking about that game against Ghana. Very interesting one. And of course, the GFA president, Dr. Koto Krako, has been re-elected as a WAFU zombie president. And that, of course, now gives us the lead about who to direct our anger to regarding the zoning of competitions in the sub-region. Remember that we talked about that unjustifiable zoning that most times affected the big teams in Africa, that they have to play against each other and eliminate each other. Trust us, it's going to be another wonderful and exciting time on the show today. Unfortunately, Kado Gundare wouldn't be joining us, but James Agberebi is fully loaded and is here in the studio with me. James, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, my weekend was, for some time, my weekend has been, interesting. Thanks to Arsenal, we keep, disappointing haters.
I didn't say it.
See, and thanks to the likes of Partey, thanks to the likes of the other Arsenal players, so we just hope it continues like this.
Yeah, we hope that Thomas Partey will actually take this form into the World Cup.
Exactly.
It is very, very
No, they struggled a bit in the weekend, because they are maybe fatigued. They played the Europa League, and it was not easy against Leeds, but they were able to pull through. So good one for them. And
of course, also unfortunately, Atofo could not pull through in the second leg of that clash against Real Bamako. Of course, we knew it was going to be a daunting task. 3-1 it ended. And
3-1 on aggregate.
3-1 on aggregate, yeah, thank you. And of course, the reaction after that game, Atofo fans were not really pleased, and they held some club officials hostage. And of course, they deflected the tire of tire of a particular official of the club. And of course, Samuel Badu, they had to carry off Samuel Badu to say that we want him to return. Of course, we'll be getting into that discussion as well. But James, let's begin. Home, they said that is where it is.
Yeah.
Rivers United, Plateau United, and Kwara United. Of course, we expressed that fear the last time we were here, and of course, it happened.
Yeah.
But the manner at which it happened is what everyone has been talking about. We talked about CAF appointing North African referees, not because they're just North African referees, but because of the antecedent of North African referees, especially while handling teams involving clubs from North Africa and other parts of Africa. It's played out again, James.
Yeah, that's like what you said. When we previewed the game, we knew what will happen. It's not as if we were trying to make excuses for the Nigerian club side, but we knew that when it comes to playing against these teams from the northern part of Africa, there's always this antics. Before you even you're not even playing against the. It's not even about on the pitch. Action now. Right from the airport, training, these antics here and there. And they always get away with it. Who are you going to blame if not the body that runs football in Africa, CAF? This thing has been going on for years. It's not as if it's an exclusive thing. When you talk about the Northern African part, but the way they go to the extreme, they are ready to do anything. That's if they're ready to harm anybody just to get their way. We also saw what happened. Was it Kwara United or Rivers United?
They were prevented from leaving the hotel.
And the law states that the away team has the right to train a day. If I'm not mistaken, a day before the game. But this one, they just lock them out. They switch off the light. They're all coming up with all kinds of antics. And we said it here that this is what's going to happen. And the saddest part of all was the game between Plateau United and Esperance. We saw the
foul was committed outside the
horrible decision. The foul was committed from outside. The guy flew inside. It was as if the referee was looking for just one good opportunity, a 50-50 opportunity, whereby the decision will rely solely with him. So he just used the opportunity. It was so sad because aside that goal, they didn't do much again. That was the Esperance. It's not for that penalty, which means that game would have ended goalless and Plateau would have progressed. But I mean, we saw what happened, and it was a sad episode for our club side.
Especially, of course, some Alali fans also they pointed out the fact that the referee had integrity.
They say how's this? Yes.
Referring in the Egyptian league.
Yeah, because I went through some comments and saw horrible things said about this. That he has this.
Even by North Africans themselves.
Yes,
that he has a lot of integrity issues.
So I mean, I don't know the kind of politics they are. Fine, you can't rule out politics in football, but the way these people take this thing, like. For them, it's like a do or die affair for them. They're ready to do anything. I remember, that's why I keep saying it. I remember the 2000 Champions League, CAF Champions League final between, what is it called, the Arts of Folk and Esperance. I think I've mentioned this before. In 2000, the first leg, Arts of Folk won 2-1. Then return leg in Ghana, Esperance scored first. So the goalkeeper the former Tunisian goalkeeper, Chokri, I think that's his name. He deliberately injured himself. He deliberately injured himself so that there will be a kind of a ban. That which means, as of folk, we as if the fans from through something he got him injured. Yeah, so I was surprised how they were able to detect that. No, he injured himself, and I think they banned him for some games. As of folk went on to win the game 3-1 to become champion. So it's just going to show that until CAF put their foot down that no, we are not going to continue like this. We can't continue running our football like this. I mean, this is the same people that when you go to play against them, you see laser beams and all manner of intimidation just
from
because
these same North Africans.
From these same people, just because you want to win a game. When they come to the West or that, you don't see all this. They allow them to train. They give them the accommodation. Nobody thinks about all these things. But when it gets to their own turn, they're ready to frustrate you, do all manner of things just because they want to win. And that's one thing about me is I don't rate the North African team, especially in Africa, as in the strongest team, the team that will give Africa a good representation when it comes to how many North African teams. When was the last time the North African team did very well at the major FIFA tournament? But when they play here in Africa, they're ready to do anything. The best teams from Africa, always from the West. You talk about Nigeria, you talk about Ghana, you talk about Cameroon, you talk about Senegal.
They had the first representative in the FIFA World Cup.
Egypt was the first, but they've never won a game. Egypt have never won a game. Their first World Cup appearance was 1934. Then they now took them like how many years before they got to Italian 90. Yeah. Then they now went to 2018. After how many games? I think so far they've played 9. They've never won a game.
They couldn't even beat Saudi Arabia in that game.
They lost all their group games. Tunisia was the first African team to win a World Cup game in 1978 when they stopped Nigeria from qualifying. They defeated Mexico, but they didn't proceed from the group stage. They got to the all through since then they've never gone past the group stage. Algeria, they had a good outing in 1982 when they defeated West Germany, a surprise victory. Morocco was the first African team to make it to the round of 16. Since then, they've not been doing anything. Then until 2014 when Algeria made it to the second round. Since they don't really normally do much.
They don't even equal the record set by West Africa.
The West Africa are the one team that still go out there, does things. Ghana won they've won the under-17 twice, 1991, 1995. They are the first African team to win an Olympic football medal, bronze in 1992, Barcelona 1992. Nigeria won the first Olympic gold. 1996. Cameroon won gold in 2000. Nigeria have won the under-20, the under-17 5 times. Yeah. Ghana is the first and only African team to win the Under-20 World Cup. Tell me what the North Africa... No, it's not as if I'm trying to...
No, the facts are there.
I'm not trying to rubbish them. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, it's as if it's only when they play here in Africa, that's when they feel they are very good. But outside, they don't do much, So for me, because they know that when they go outside, all these things will not be there for them to... So if you claim you're very good, then why are you keep doing all this antics just because you want to win? I mean, so like I said, I wasn't surprised.
Terry Bush in that name.
I wasn't surprised. We thought maybe the Nigerian representative, whether they were able to pull through, but we saw this thing coming. The first leg gave us kind of a false hope, but I think kudos to them, they tried, but I mean, we knew that it was going to be a very big task.
But would you say Rivers United, they lost Ghana lost a 6-0 with the 2-1 aggregate, 2-1 win in the first leg.
Yeah.
Now, they were stopped from leaving their hotel before the game in order, trying to acclimatize and prepare. Do you think it had any correlation with their scandalous defeat or psychologically, because their goalkeeper was sent off in that game?
I think the sending off contributed, because I mean you're already defeated even before the game with all the problem you had to go through. Then now the game itself, you had a player down, and so all those things culminated to them losing scandalously. I wasn't surprised, but they will drop down. They and Rivers United and Plateau United, they have the opportunity. They are still on the continent.
Yeah.
They will play in the CAF Confederations Cup. So maybe that I just hope that they were able to regroup and just face the Confederations Cup and learn from the lessons from the Champions League, and who knows, maybe they will use this Confederations Cup to build themselves and maybe go far in the competition.
Okay, before we talk about Art of Folk, let's talk about this Nigerian team. Do you think there should be some form of complaint to CAF?
They've been this thing has not. It didn't start today. I mean, even in the national, just like I said, it's not only in the clubs, but even the national team. I remember in 1993 when Ghana played against Algeria at qualifiers for the World Cup. I mean, Ghana just needed a draw, and they were doing. Ghana scored first, but when the antics started, I mean, bad officiating, and that was how Ghana missed out.
Sorry to cut you. Look at the time that the North Africans have hosted AFCON.
Yeah,
you see that they do everything
to win. Everything. So, like I said, the headquarters of CAF is in Cairo, and I don't know the makeup of the executive members. So that's why if you don't play this politics well, you continue to come out to complain, and at the end of the day, the fact that this thing keeps happening shows that it must have not been done from other regions of Africa. I mean, you can't continue like this.
How much mockery does this make of CAF, James?
It just shows the kind
of. When you're trying to say, FIFA said the slogan of FIFA is "My game is fair."
Fair, right? But there's no fairness.
So
in
how
this,
mockery of it does this make CAF, James?
I mean, it goes to show that it's not a serious body.
Here in Nigeria, we say we do not have quality referees because of bad officiating.
There's no difference. There's no difference between
because they argue that Nigerian referees are not good. That's why they don't get appointed for continental
assignment
competition.
Because fine, we want to castigate our own referees, but for what we've been seeing from other parts of, I mean, it goes to show that it's not as if it's just the North African referees. I mean, we've seen from other regions too.
Gazama, we have the good.
If you have the good one, but we have some referees who did very terrible things and they were banned. So, but I mean, these guys, it's as if they're ready to spill blood just to win. I mean, they're like a do or die affair for them. They're ready to hurt. They're ready to do anything, and it's so unfair. It just shows that CAF is not ready to tackle this thing until they put their foot down that no, this thing can't continue. Any fans coming to the stadium will make sure that no laser will be allowed. But you keep seeing all these things. They're not ready to tackle until they put their foot down, tackle this issue. We'll continue to shout, continue to complain, and these guys will continue to get away with a lot of things.
Let's talk about Art of Folk, James. We knew it was going to be very difficult for them.
Yeah.
3-0 in the first leg. Coming back home, they began training immediately to prepare for a game. But Real Bamako, we knew that, in fact, as a matter of fact, as I was studying for the return leg, I saw that Real Bamako, only one team has been able to score against them away so far. In the season, I'm talking about the entire season, not just in the CAF. So we knew it was going to be difficult for them. But where does this leave Art of Folk? Because after that game, the fans, they took it out on the officials of the club. And of course, they carried up Samuel Bado because, a coach, maybe they saw him as the messiah who was sent off or sent out of the club because of, some personal issues with the club. Where does this leave the club, James?
I mean, they are not in a good situation.
It's even better for Nigerian teams because they have Rivers
Confederations
and
Cup.
They have to play playoff. But now, no Ghanaian team is left in the continent.
It doesn't speak well. I thought what Art of Folk need because they've not won a game since this season kicked off. They've drawn 2, lost 1 in the league. And now the Champions League, they won a game. I think they won a game, but it was, they won a game against Red Bamako, but it was
just 1-0.
So it wasn't enough. We knew that right from the first leg, it was going to be difficult. I mean, a team that's compact, solid, was the Malian team. So the most important thing for Art of Folk to do now is to just regroup. The best way to win the fans back is to win games. We've seen teams that maybe they don't do well, but when you start winning, you win the fans to your side. So they don't have any other means, or just try and start churning out results, because I mean you can't continue like this. House of Oak is a big team, not only in Ghana, also in Africa. They are former African champions, and we know what they've done. They've churned out a lot of quality players in the past. So the best way to get back to the good books of the fans and your fans all over the world is to start winning games. So that's the big duty the players and the coaching crew have. That's what they have now.
Of course, the fans, the Out of Folk fans, of course, they expressed how they felt after that game, because they lifted up Samuel Bado after the game, of course, and Vincent Sower and Alhaji Ibrahima Moro were held as hostage, just to pour out their anger after Out of Folk crashed out of the continent. 3-1, it ended on aggregate, but unfortunately it was not enough to see them through. So unfortunately now no Ghanaian team is left, as we still have Plateau United and Rivers United on the continent, just that they will have to play playoff for the CAF Confederations Cup, and it is certain, or it is most certain, at least we have one of them still remaining on the continent. So let's quickly go on this break. We're about to talk about Ghana's preparation for the 2025 World Cup is just a little above 30 days now before that tournament will kick off in Qatar. And South Korea, they've been talking about the game against Ghana. And trust me, they are taking it seriously. And I told you about the WAFU zombie. Remember, we've been talking about the unjustifiable, unfriendly pairing that is done in West Africa, where you have Ghana playing against Nigeria, we have a Ghana playing against the Benin Republic and all that. Remember, now we have someone we can actually point the finger to, and it is GFA President, Dr. Kurt Krakow, because of course he has won his re-election. So we can tell him now, we do not want this anymore, and let's see what will be done. We'll be back to talk about that. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and it's still Nigeria Superfans Forum. I remember that we told you that during the course of the week, we're going to make a big announcement concerning countdown to the 2025 World Cup. Of course, it will be kicking off on Thursday. It will be 30 days to that tournament in Qatar. So everyone is getting ready. Though players are, unfortunately, players are picking up injuries now that would likely affect the performances of the club, of their countries at the tournament. But of course, hey, it has to go on. And of course, we'll be talking about Ghana. But before then, we'll talk about the court in Ghana adjourning maybe verdict on the injunction brought against the Ghana Premier League by Ashanti Gold. And while James and I were discussing, he wasn't really pleased that because of one club, of course, the Ghana Premier League had to be on hold. James, of course, still talking about it. The ruling now has now been, of course, been shifted or been postponed, whatever way you want to call it, till October 20th. So that is when we will know, of course, what the court will say. Maybe the Ghana Premier League will be resuming sooner or later.
I mean, it's dragging, it's taking too long. I mean, the league that started on a positive note is now being halted because of some court case. And I think it's something that they should have. I know it's a very sensitive issue, and something that they want to make sure that whatever verdict that they give will be the appropriate one, So I just want everything to be settled and let the league start. I mean, there are so many things that this suspension of the league will be affecting now, because there are some things who are already building momentum. Now you now halt the league. I mean, you know what you now take for you to now bounce back and get back to the groove. So, like I said, they should be, whatever decision they plan to take, they just have to hasten up, because, I mean, you have sponsors already, and, they want this thing to be up and running. And when you have the league being suspended now, I mean, people are losing a lot of money, not just
the bet power. The
league is big business, So, I mean, if things, that's why they should just try and make sure that this is not something that you start seeing things like this that will be affecting the league, because you have other sponsors who might want to come in, and when they start seeing things like, so if there are issues like this is what we have to go through before these things are settled, before we have the league. And so I don't want to say much on that. I just want the GFA, whatever decision, they have to make it snappy so that football will continue, because these guys, they are high, because as a footballer, you need to be active, not just training and no competitive game to showcase yourself. So there's just whatever decision they want to take, they just have to listen up so that the league will continue to start seeing those big, interesting games like what can they always say about what is it, Tamale? All those, want to see all those big derbies and all those interesting games.
It gives us fun here because of course the Nigerian professional ball, we do not even have a date to start the 2023 calendar yet.
So everything, the balls now falls on the GFA to just come up with a decision and let's have the.
But do you think it is wise for the GFA to suspend the league while this case is still on?
Like
because
I said,
because it wasn't actually like the court actually told the
Premier
League to be suspended. GFA just thought it wise. I remember Kayode said that it was a wise decision. But do you think the GFA should?
Well, I know they are trying to come up with the best solution for the issue at hand, but suspending the league, the football follower, you want to be watching football and whatever decision they want to take, you want them to.
It's almost a month now.
I mean, which means they're going to be kind of rescheduled fixtures and all those things.
Prolonged season as well.
Exactly, so.
Except you want to rush your fixtures.
Like I said, I'm not faulting them for suspending it because they have a reason for it. But we want the league to be to whatever decision, whatever issue, they should just try and be fast about it so that we'll have the league back.
And James, of course, talking about the FIFA World Cup, South Korea, you remember they'll play the last group game against Ghana.
Yeah.
And the vice president, talking about Byung-ji, is saying that they have to beat Ghana unconditionally, like he is portraying in such a way that Ghana will be the whipping team of that group, James. And quickly, I'll make it say it is undeniable that Korea is lagging behind Portugal and Uruguay in terms of objective power. This is the background of setting the possibility that Korea will advance to the World Cup at 30%. And of course, he was talking about the game against Ghana. He said, a lot of hope. It is not easy, rugged, they have great power. He said, but Ghana, we have to beat Ghana unconditionally. Ghana is a team that we must beat unconditionally, and it's a team that needs to be captured.
I think for me, when I saw that statement, I saw.
Do you think that statement is
disrespectful, very disrespectful? Because I don't know, South Korea, apart from 2002 World Cup, which they hosted, they've not really done anything major. Yeah, because if you check out that World Cup, they are run to the semi-final. They were headed somehow. If you watch their game from,
decisions that went
I don't know because of being host and one of the hosts, Japan, got kicked out.
They were also great. I think they were great. Gusidi was able to put together
with the head of referees. If you watch the game between South Korea and Spain, there are so many dodgy calls in that game.
So not only CAF is
I don't want to go into that for now. So for the South Korean minister or whatever he called himself to come, I mean that was disrespectful. Ghana, South Korea, I mean, when Ghana did very well at the World Cup 2010, it was not as if they were the host. They did very well on a neutral.
Can you mention how many players you have in South Korea?
Apart from Jin Park, do you know any other player? No, you don't know. To me, their biggest player, Jin Park, was. He was even a debate in Man whether he's a legend or not. But they know that he's one of their reliable players, So when you put Ghana and South Korea side by side, football-wise, I mean, I don't know in terms of who has produced.
There's a
gap. The gap is.
It's not even wide.
The gap is there. So it's now left for the Black Stars to shut him up, to let him know that we are better than you guys in terms of football. Forget the fact that the team they've not been doing well in their warm-up game, but everything. I just hope that this comment they show it to the Black Stars players. They look at what that is saying, which means we don't have. As in, there's no.
There are no match for.
There are no match for Ghana that they should be winning game against. Which means he's looking at the Black Stars like a small team. Okay, fine.
I wish I was in the
he's saying like, okay, Portugal, Uruguay, we understand. We can nick something, but Ghana we must beat. I mean that's disrespectful. So Otohado and the Black Stars players over to you. You just have to shut this man up.
Okay, let's talk about the WAFU Zombie election that, of course, that took place over the weekend, James. Of course, Dr. Koto Kraku, the GFA president, he returned unopposed. And you know, we've talked about the issue of unjustifiable groupings in the West African sub-region, where you have Nigeria have to play
the
against
big
Ghana
guns
in
playing
male and
against,
female, even in the underage competition as well. I think we now have someone that we have to talk to, James, because we cannot continue like this.
Yeah, we cannot, because I remember when the Super Falcons qualified for the AFCON, they had to beat Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Those are big teams. So it means you've already removed, you have allowed the big teams, they've knocked themselves. It could have been Ghana, it could have been Cote d'Ivoire who qualified, it could have been anybody, you know. So, I mean, the re-elected president, he has, I think this should be his number one, what I call agenda. I mean, we can't continue like this. You can't pairing big teams so that you now knocking them. So I don't know what they are trying to gain from this.
But again, sorry, James, what came to my mind was he wouldn't say he's not aware that this is the situation.
He knows. He can't say he's not. He knows. Well, it's now left to them to say, okay, are we going to continue like this? Because we saw it's something that's happening with the women's team, the age grade. You know, that's what we've been. So who knows? Maybe later now they now start thinking of introducing the system in the main team, where do you now pair those big teams? Now, I don't know, maybe they are trying to give these other lesser teams the opportunity to, you know, to have the chance to qualify for major tournaments. Okay, look at the last AFCON, Comoros and some other. They made it maybe because of the.
No, because it was extended. It was expanded.
Expanded. So that in future they might decide to now introduce this pattern. You never can tell. Someone might just pop up and say, okay, why not introduce this style in the main team, maybe AFCON qualifiers, or, you know. So like I said, I think this thing started. This thing started. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal in the same zone.
No, come on now.
I think this thing started when Ahmad, the former CAF president, when he was president of CAF, you know, when he's Madagascar. You remember Madagascar qualified for AFCON. So maybe they're just trying to give these lesser teams opportunity to, you know, so that maybe when you pair them among themselves, at least somebody from there will qualify. Maybe they just want to give them chance, because by the time you keep pairing them with this heavyweight, they keep knocking them down and out. But I mean, you have to earn your sport. You have to, you know, it's not nobody's fault that you are not that good in football. You have to build, you have to invest a lot. They are not going to give you on a platter of gold. That's why the AFCON, you keep seeing the big teams winning, because they've invested, they've come a long way.
Paid their dues, right?
They've paid their dues. You know, so all these teams, they didn't just become good overnight. They've paid their dues. They've gone through a lot. So it's now up to the new WAFU B president to look into this issue and him himself, his executive members, that we can't continue like this, where we now keep knocking ourselves out. Look at the under-17, and Ghana didn't qualify.
Under-20 also.
Yeah, under-20. The one Nigeria won. Fine, we're happy that Nigeria won, but at the expense of some very big countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and others, they've knocked themselves out. You know, so I mean, I don't really like the idea, and it's now up to him to just sit down and let them have everything. Let them look at this method of qualification, this WAFU Zone B. They have to raise the issue, maybe in CAF. Is it, what do they call their annual general, whatever?
Executive committee meeting.
You know, because I believe it's somebody that came up with this idea, and if somebody now say, okay, we want to have
the idea is no longer working.
I mean, they just have to. So I just hope that you sit down and have a rethink concerning this WAFU Zone B qualifying. And apart from WAFU, there are other regions too who go through this method of qualifying. And I mean, to me, I don't really like the idea. They pair everybody together. We've seen shocks in football. I mean, you know, that's the beauty of football, when the smaller teams, you know, shock the big teams, and from there, if you can build from it, I mean, you grow. But when you just want the big team to knock themselves up because you want to, as if you want to favor, you want to give the smaller teams chance. That, to me, that's the way I see it. So I don't know. So it's now left for the West African representative to sit down and have a rethink on this method.
But we do not know how it is done in CAF, but if it is put up to a vote, I don't know whether West Africa has enough representative to veto whatever votes that might come from other parts of Africa. Or we don't know how it is done in CAF, but I think it's time for us to look into this because we cannot consistently have Nigeria have to face Ghana, have to face Cote d'Ivoire, have to face Senegal in knocking themselves out before qualifying for tournament. I don't think it is right because, of course, it is reducing the strength of the subcontinent. James, we're still talking about injury. A lot of players now. Richarlison is not certain if it will be at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Reece James, it is a season of injury.
Yeah.
Lewis for Liverpool is still not certain. Now,
okay, yeah, you mentioned Richarlison.
Now, Ghana, I'm talking about Richard Ofori. We do not know if he will make it to the World Cup. It was in goal for the friendly against Nicaragua. At least he started that game. And he's currently injured. And you do not know. Is the backing for Wallacott. So we do not know if he will be going to the World Cup. We do not need news like this. Though there have been reports that maybe we might have Lawrence Atizigi, who might replace him. But, of course, if you want to put it down on Otoado's pecking order, it will be Wallacott and, of course, Richard Ofori.
Yeah.
But unfortunately now, he's injured and we do not know if he'll be going to the World
Well, the thing, we don't know the duration of the... I don't think they've come out to give the... maybe not yet, you know. So, maybe hopefully it's not something that will rule him out of the World Cup because you want to have your trusted hands because he's somebody who has been with the team, who played some friendlies, you know, and he's somebody that has been active. I think he was in goal for, was it Sundowns or which of these South African teams? He's the same Ofori, if I'm not mistaken. He has been active, so he's been part of the team, and I just hope that it's not something that will rule him out of the World Cup because he can't get this close. I mean, the World Cup is less than 40 days to the World Cup, and you don't want news like this because the new guy that has been touted as his replacement, I don't know whether he has ever held a cap for Ghana before, or you know. So
yeah, I think Azigi was in the invitational tournament,
the Kirin Cup.
Yeah, in the Kirin Cup. Yeah, I think it was.
But are you going to between him and Ofori, who you prefer to be in goal for Ghana?
I would prefer Ofori.
Ofori because of experience. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
So he plays with Orlando Pirates. He plays Orlando Pirates.
Yeah, so so he's someone that knows the team. He has kept. We know him very well, and I just hope that this is something that will not kick him out of the World Cup because we want your best hands at a major tournament like the World Cup. Okay,
so Ofori picked up that injury over the weekend while playing for Pirates against Amazulu in the South Africa Premier League. James, let's talk about how serious clubs take the CAF Champions League. It is a serious business, and sometimes you might not even blame the North African teams as we round up now. Why they take the CAF Champions League so seriously. TP Mazembe, of course, they also crashed out over the weekend, and they did not only sack the coach, they sacked the entire board.
You know, TP Mazembe is
time for you guys to go.
One of the biggest. I look at them like they are the African version of the Bayern Munich.
Sorry, since teams in West Africa, we do not really take this competition. I think the time has come to take this competition seriously.
No,
because TP Mazembe branded themselves. I think a team from Congo, but look at the branding.
Femi, you know, one thing you need to realize: in the West, for me, it's not as if I'm trying to brag. Africa's best legs are in the West, in West Africa.
I'm talking about continental.
I know. Because if you check out most of the players from West, they play majorly abroad. They play in Europe. We have the best legs in Europe. You know, so maybe that's why the North African are so. They have players outside. Salah is one of the biggest names. But how many of them play in the major top? You know, so somebody like Partey play for Arsenal. We've seen like Michael Essien play for Chelsea.
No, just imagine.
Imagine you have all these guys.
Out of hope.
Then you have super Eagles players. Everybody back home in Nigeria. I mean, this dominance will not be there. So, TP Mazembe, like I said, as if they are operating like the Real Madrid or the Bayern Munich. This is a club that is well run. I think they have their own private jet. They have their own stadium, and they've won the Champions League more than 2-3 times. They've been to the Club World Cup in 2010. They defeated the Hearts of Nigerian Heartland in the final. They got to the final of the Club World Cup where they lost to Inter Milan 3-0. Yeah. So it's a big club, and this kind of decision big clubs take. Once they say that the result is not coming and they're kind of a mini crisis.
The other ones in West Africa, they are small clubs.
No, we have very big good clubs.
But I do not think that stops us also from branding, because if you are well branded, even if your best players from your country still go abroad to play, you still have best players from the same continent. There's nothing stopping us from signing from, for instance, Out of Folk, or Yimba, signing the best player in Congo, signing the best player in from Egypt or from Tunisia. So long you give him enough dollars, he will stay, he will come over.
So that's just the situation we find ourselves. Like I said, the TP Mazembe issue. I mean, that was the kind of decision big clubs take.
Not to just sack the entire board.
I mean, last season they didn't do well. This season too. So they did that kind of club that they don't. Whoever is in charge, well, it's not even about the coach now. Even the board too. Because they feel that something trickles down. You know. So for them to sack as if they've had enough and they want new change. They want to change. And maybe the new board and the new coach that we get will kickstart their season for them.
So, TB Mazembe, they told Frank Dumas, you have done well, please you can go back to wherever you're coming from. How are you preparing for the 2025 World Cup? How are you preparing? Remember that our countdown, of course, to that tournament will kick off on Thursday. That will be exactly 30 days to the commencement of that tournament in Qatar. I'm sure very soon, Premier League, of course, will issue a statement that will, not only Premier League, all the leagues across Europe, because where you have players who will be going to represent their countries, of course, they will make a statement saying that we have to shut down now and allow the players to. Well, for me, if you ask me, it is one of the reasons why, one of the things I have against this tournament, because in the middle of the season, that I don't know, it's going to be the first time, and I hope it's going to be the last.
That's what they say is a special World Cup. This edition is a very special one.
There's a lot of Europeans do not really like it.
Yeah,
because they say they are accusing FIFA that you are disrupting this for money. It's not for any other thing.
So they don't have a choice. You just have to go ahead and play.
Because a lot of players will have to go. Some will even go to the World Cup half fit. Some will go, we have to go there, play with injury, then maybe stay on the sideline during the tournament, and it will cost their national teams a great deal. But we just hope that, of course, the tournament will go well right there in the Middle East, the first of its kind in the Middle East. James Agberebi, thank you for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure, Femi.
And to you there, thank you for always staying through with us. Thank you for your comment. We read every one of them. Sometimes we read and we laugh. Sometimes we say, okay, this is more like criticism, and of course, we'll work on it. Unfortunately, Akade couldn't join us today, but of course, next time he will be right here on the show. And to our producer, thank you for always being the Arsenal fan. They are doing right there. He comes to the office every day with smiles on his face, and of course he turns to Man U and Chelsea fans. And like we told you, please just keep your fingers crossed regarding our countdown. It will begin on Thursday, and the focus will be Black Stars. Black Stars of Ghana, things you do not know about the Black Stars, of course, will bring them your way. And of course, news from that camp. You remember we told you that Otuado is on the verge of releasing his provisional squad. So we'll get you, of course, that news and all the other 4 teams that will be representing the continent in that tournament. So everything is going to be another swell time as we prepare for the 2025 World Cup. The Super Eagles will not be going. So Black Stars, they are in my heart. Until we come your way again, I remain Oluwafemi Ashaolu. Have a wonderful preparation for the 2025 World Cup. Bye for now.